Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. On these videos, I generally do them about once a week, sometimes twice a week. Talk about different miners, talking about what they're doing in terms of price action, in terms of the whales, what they're doing, retail, what they're doing, in terms of price target, resistance, support, just kind of tell you in terms of what I expect moving forward. So let's get right into it. This is the CleanSpark chart. The monthly chart is being shown here. There is an indicator I like to use which is called the Ichimoku cloud. The Ichimoku cloud is based on moving period average, and it gives you a lot of these different lines. You have the blue line over here, which is the leading line, called the conversion line. You have the red line over here, which we call the baseline, which is a lagging line. We have the leading cross the lagging, which blue crosses above the red. You have a bullish cross, generally tells you that there's going to be most likely a longer term bull trend that's going to come. And you are basically seeing this on the monthly time frame of CleanSpark. You can totally see that right now price is stuck in a range. It is being rejected to cloud over here for months number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it's just been easily stuck underneath. It's also finding very good support underneath here at the blue line, which is the conversion line or the Tenkan line. So far, it's just stuck in a range, building up a tons of energy, right? So it's not really doing a whole lot, and they really get a lot of people really frustrated because people really expect over the last year or so. This is just like whipsawing kind of stock, right? When things get kind of stuck, people get kind of bored, people get kind of upset. No big deal to me. Where's the bottom of the cloud right now? The bottom of the cloud right now is 17.94, so it's going to be serving as continued resistance until we're actually able to convincingly break above the range, maybe even back test it and use it to go up a lot higher. Right now we're just kind of stuck underneath of it, but looking like a very nice kind of handle with a hammer looking kind of thing over here, which generally is bullish because it tells you there's a lot more demand underneath, right? Whales, yeah, they haven't really left, but they're still there. It's still greater than 50%. The retail has also declined. Whales have also declined. Yellow over here basically tells you more traders coming in, and yellow doesn't really mean anything. So basically, whales stay the same, retail stay the same, but there's just been a lot more traders coming trying to trade the range. That's basically what I'm seeing over here. Overall, though, if you look at the greater trend, it really since around April of 2023, there's been significant increase in the number of whales that has been coming over the last year. And this is as apparent as the fact that it's been forming, bull trend with higher highs, higher lows, all the way up until it swooshes on the bottom of the cloud over here. It's been having a hard time getting through it, but that's okay. I think it's building a tons of energy. Wells haven't left. The selling pressure so far is actually not very high. The consolidation range over here is on declining volume, so I think eventually it's going to break out of range. And because it's been forming a very nice flag over here with consolidation, where else are you going to go? What's the highest probability? Is it going to go down or is it going to go up? Because the primary trend is up, most likely a bullish continuation is going to happen. It's also not really that overbought here on the monthly, so I think there's still room for this bull trend to go up a lot higher. Another way to look at the Ichimoku cloud is to look at the variant of the Ichimoku called the Super Ichi cloud, which takes into account of super trend. You basically see the same thing. It's stuck. It had a bullish cross here, but which tells you most likely going to have some kind of bullish continuation, but it's stuck underneath the Super Ichi cloud and also above the Tenkan and Kijun or the conversion baseline down here. It's just been stuck in a range for about 4 months, and eventually it's going to break one way or another. I'm also going to show you that I think there's a ton of energy that's being built up right here in the stock that's going to end up manifesting one way or another here. Now, the lower Bollinger Band has all the way been extended down because this very nice bull trend over the last 7 or 8 months has really pushed the Bollinger Band all the way down, and the upper Bollinger Band is also continue to expand upwards. So most likely it's going to end up dragging price up along with it, and also price probably would also hang at the upper Bollinger Band and potentially just keep going up and expanding Bollinger Band even further until a trend exhaustion, which currently I'm not really seeing one right now. Again, whales are in, retails are staying put, but it's just been going sideways here for the last few months before that significantly increase in whales, right? Something to consider. Now, looking at a little bit of a lower time frame, if I put up the 2-week chart here and I put up the Ichimoku cloud, you can see a little bit more clear picture, increased volume push through the 2-week cloud, and this stock is so bullish that it couldn't even backtest the top of the Ichimoku cloud. It's just kind of finding support here at the Kijun or the baseline over here, and the conversion lines keeps on pointing up, right? Right now you have a couple of really nice hammer candles. Like these are very, very nice demand candles. With this consolidation being done, I think it's going to have a pretty nice bullish continuation moving forward. You don't really have much retail left on this time frame. It's all pretty much whales or traders, right? Not really having a whole lot of bearish divergences here to get worried about. And you're going to see the same thing here on the Super Ichi Cloud. You're going to see a very, very nice morphology. Actually, this Super Ichi Cloud, you can see huge volume push above the cloud, and then you just basically have low volume consolidation and backtest on the top of the Ichimoku Cloud, confluent with the Kinjun or the baseline over here, right? So it's finding some pretty good support, building a nice consolidation base, ready to break out, right? On the weekly, if I pull out the weekly chart over here, you can see this very crazy consolidation range over here for about 4 or 5 months. You can see that there might be a little bit of weakness in the whales, but whales are still greater than 50%, really deep during the entire duration over here of this sideways consolidation and correction. And for this week, there's really not a whole lot of retail left, right? There's a lot of significant increase in whale over here too. Right now, it's greater than 50%. Initially, a few months ago, you did have bad bearish divergence, and right now, price has really gone sideways, and all the bearish divergence has really kind of been worked out. I'm not really seeing a whole heck of a lot of bearish divergence left. I think price is ready to go up higher. Another thing I wanted to show you is the Bollinger Band looks like it's squeezing very hard. It looks like it wants to just squeeze it out one way or another, and I preferably, based on looking at the indicators I'm looking at, I think this is going to go up based on what I'm seeing. There's a lot of these miners that are right now just kind of stuck inside the bull market support band, which is what CleanSpark is currently doing right now, just stuck inside the bull market support band. And it's just right smack in the middle. It's building up a bunch of energy because it's gone sideways for way too long, with whales increasing now again. Most likely it's going to squeeze the price upwards whenever it ends up picking a direction. A couple other things here too I'm going to show you in addition to the top of the monthly Ichimoku Cloud. What other potential resistance and support levels are there? Well, if you just look at the Fibonacci levels, right now you're kind of still stuck, and this is all the Gann square here too, right? So Gann gives you these horizontal lines and gives you these arcs. They can potentially serve as support and resistance. Right? So far it's just kind of bouncing around these arcs over here, and it's also kind of trying to break above the 0.382 Fibonacci level over here too, 17.35. Looks like we're kind of a little bit above of it, and you also have the monthly Ichimoku Cloud above of that too, right? So there's still a lot of resistance that we need to break through above that. We got rejected here previously around 22, 23, 24, somewhere up here. So that arc over here is going to be resistance confluent with this Fibonacci level over here around 22. So we need to break about that. There's also another potential resistance up here around 27, right? Above all of these, and the 27 is going to be the golden ratio, 0.618, and these Fibonacci levels are recorded from the previous cycle high all the way down to the cycle low, right? And you have this Fibonacci sequence here. Once you're able to break about the 20s, I think that price would be able to go up a lot higher. You might find some resistance up here in the 50s, 60s or so, but I think once you're able to break about this confluence zone, these very important Fibonacci levels as well as these arcs and lines over here, you are probably going to end up going a lot higher to maybe around 50s, 60s, or even 70s, right? Another reason why I think that is if you look at the Ichimoku Cloud, once you're able to break in through the cloud, you can really hit up some of these higher levels up here, like around 40, maybe even 70, somewhere up here. Especially if it breaks through the cloud, maybe even back test and it hits the arc right up here. It can potentially hit some of these higher levels up here around 67. And it could even get to the top of this arc right here, which is going to be around like 90. It could get to the 2.618 level, which is 108. Or it could even end the cycle up here around 133 or 134, 135, somewhere around the horizontal line up here. That could also potentially be pretty significant resistance, right? So you have all these potentials, but before we're able to get to all these, we have to break through the 20s before we're even able to talk about all that. Right now, price is just kind of stuck inside the arc underneath the Ichimoku Cloud here on the monthly. But whales are still in. I think we're still going to end up having a lot of bullish momentum coming. That's CleanSpark. MARA, I'm going to go back to the monthly here. I'm going to take off these Gann Fibonacci levels. Just showing you some basic things here. Looking at Ichimoku Cloud, why is MARA stuck? MARA is stuck because it's stuck between the Tenkan and the Kijun line right here. It's just stuck in a range, coiling up a bunch of energy. It's probably going to end up exploding one way or another. I think the energy is probably going to end up exploding upwards. I'll show you why that is in a sec. But it's just been building up a bunch of energy right around here. So it's range bound. I don't think there's any question about that. The question is, what is the level that is going to break above the range, right? Right now, the Tenkan is around 20.63. And every time we get above it, we seem to have gotten rejected by it recently, right? There's also another Fibonacci level I'm going to show you is around 22. So far it's just been kind of stuck in a range trying to break out. But the volume also been, kind of pathetic. Even though price kind of went sideways, whale's actually gone up, So there's a lot of kind of secret bullish momentum that's being built up over here. Plus, I also think that there's a lot of correlate between this area over here, which we just had a bullish cross here about 4 months ago, of the Tenkan and Kijun, and price just kind of oscillating around here, kind of like over here. I think a lot of bullish energy is being built up. And I think whenever the energy is end up being released, probably going to release to the upside, and really going to challenge the cloud over here. It might even push through the cloud and go up a lot higher because of how much consolidation we've had so far, right? So again, whales are slowly increasing. There's not really a whole lot of overbought conditions here monthly, not much bullish, bearish divergences to be worried about. If you look at the 2-week, the Ichimoku cloud probably won't tell you anything, but again, like you see why price is having a hard time getting above, right? Because it's stuck underneath this Kijun or the baseline over here, which is again like 20.63, right? It really has to break above that, and also maybe around like 22 or so to really try to get a little bit more bullish. But on 2-week chart, you can see that basically it's just been going sideways, and whales also have really haven't left. You still have greater than 50% whales, so I think there's still a lot of whales being in this stock over here. I'm not really that worried about it, to be completely honest with you. I think it's just a matter of time before it picks a direction. I think the direction is probably going to end up going up. Not much bearish divergence here on this time frame. Now, on the weekly chart, you can see initially have some bearish divergence, but that had already been played out for a very long time. RSI is reset, and right now RSI is just kind of hanging around like the low 50s, ready to potentially push up higher. The whales, they're still greater than 50%. Whales became hot again this week. Not much there to worry about. And you put up the Ichimoku cloud, it's going to tell you what happened so far. It's basically bouncing for the top of the Ichimoku cloud over here. This is a very bullish, kind of bounce almost to the dollar over here, right? Right now forming a little bit more of like a hammerish kind of candle. And I think that the bottom was in back here because it's a very nice hammer candle that has signified the bottom, and it's just basically gone sideways, trying to touch the cloud potentially before going higher. And it's still a little bit range bound over here, but again, finding good support at the cloud, finding good support here at the blue line over here, and that's kind of what it's doing now. Very similar to CleanSpark, it's been consolidating sideways for a very long time, and it looks like the Bollinger Band is getting more squeezy. With the fact that whales are in, it's probably going to end up squeezing upwards. Not a whole lot of bearish divergence here to be worried about right now at this moment. And it's just like a bunch of other miners. It's basically just kind of trying to claim the bull market support band and flip it from resistance to support. But you might need a little bit more time to go sideways to kind of make sure that the band stays flat before going up higher. But you're having a little bit more squeezy here. So I'm not sure how sustainable is this sideways action going to be, right? So that's a lot of things to talk about. We talk about MARA. I'm going to show a little bit more of these busier things here. I'm going to show you basically what I think price is going to happen in terms of the future when the future comes. And the future will come when we break about these 22.07 to 0.236 Fibonacci level. And when they break above that, I think it's probably going to hit some of the higher levels up here. You have two arcs up here around the mid 30s to around the 50s, right? So that's going to be a resistant zone over here. A lot of people might end up taking profit over here, especially at 0.618 Fibonacci level, which is around $53. Probably going to be a pretty strong resistance. You're probably going to have a lot of smart people taking profit up there, right? And if you're able to break above the zone to end the cycle, you're really talking about some of these crazier targets up here. Like 1.618 is 133, 2.618 is around like $213. Do I see it potentially hitting the arc up here, around the confluence zone, around the 2.618? Once it's able to break above these 30, 40, 50 range up here, I think that's probably going to be where the next step is going to be. It's going to be around this arc up here, right? Of course, it can get stalled, somewhere in between, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here on the GAN. With the whalish momentum here building up, with the price being side for so long, a lot of energy is penned up, and it could end up getting pretty explosive whenever it gets going. And that is MARA. I'm going to show you Bitfarms. Bitfarms has garnered a lot of attention both on the way down and on the way up. A lot of people were just very extremely bearish just a few weeks ago. Now we turn extremely bullish. A lot of people are getting really frustrated with MARA and with CleanSpark. They're now even thinking about rotating into Bitfarms, even though they were just kind of trashing the stock verbally and mentally, publicly and privately for a very long time. But you cannot argue against this V-shaped recovery. I actually think that Bitfarm is like an exaggerated version of MARA. And whatever Bitfarm's doing, most likely MARA is going to end up falling, because they basically have the same chart, but just in a little bit more exaggerated version of it. In just looking at it, higher highs, higher lows, right? Right now it's trying to form a higher high again, but you do have a few resistance levels over here to pay attention to. Whales are increasing over the last few months. Not much of a bearish divergence here to get worried about. So overall looks pretty healthy. Look at Ichimoku Cloud. The cloud's up here. It's going to be around like $5. If it's like a little bit further out, it might be around like $4 or so. Most likely it's going to end up hitting it. And it might serve as resistance. It may not. But right now you have a bullish cross over here around February, March 2024. And right now price has reclaimed both the blue and the red line, the Tenkan and the Kijun. And right now it looks like it wants to go up higher, but where are the resistance? I'll show you that in a little bit. Whales are coming in. Again, not much bearish divergence here to get worried about, right? On the 2-week chart, it's not really going to show you a whole heck of a lot here in the Ichimoku Cloud. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back to the monthly here, turn off Ichimoku, look at the Bollinger Band. It backtests more or less to the 20-month moving average. It looks like it wants to go up higher. It's probably going to get magnet into like the 3.1s or around there at the top of the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly. And it's probably going to end up, over time, going to end up going a lot higher this cycle, because the Bollinger Band is expanding. Looks like this price, the Bollinger Band also wants to potentially go down as long as price continues to go up and expand the Bollinger Band along with it, right? If you look at the 2-week chart, you can see a lot of whales came in over the last month or so, right? Showing this very, very strong high volume buying candles over here, right? So again, not much bearish divergence to say, maybe a little bit, but not much. I'm not really that worried about a lack of bullish momentum right now. And if you look at a weekly, I think it's going to give you a very, very clear picture in terms of what's happening in the weekly here. It basically, just like MARA, you remember us mentioning MARA, Bitfarms is just an exaggerated version of MARA, so I think MARA is probably going to follow Bitfarms. MARA came back down after a breakthrough, came back down and touched the cloud, right? And that's exactly kind of what Bitfarms has been doing and gotten near it, and it just ended up bouncing up a lot higher as a result on increasing volume, on increasing whales. You don't really have a whole heck of a lot of bearish divergence here. Initially, you have some bearish divergence here back around December, January, February, but that has already been worked out. RSI has gotten reset. Price could go up a lot higher from here, right? But the Ichimoku Cloud is really here to tell you a very, very nice tale. So for Bitfarms, it's a little bit different from CleanSpark and MARA, because you already have a pretty decent move over here, right? You did initially have a Bollinger Band squeeze, but it looks like right now it wants to expand up and may want to expand down a little bit. The 20-week moving average is pointing up. And you can see, just like a lot of miners, it tried to reclaim the boomerang support band. Now Bitfarm was able to do that, and it looks like a very, very nice bounce as a result. Whereas for MARA and for CleanSpark, they're still waiting. They're still trying to reclaim, like MARA is trying to reclaim, CleanSpark's trying to reclaim. Both MARA and CleanSpark, they're kind of squeezing with the Bollinger Band here, right? Bitfarm is a little bit different. Bitfarm looks like it wants to start to kind of expand. It looks like it wants to pick a direction, which is up. It looks like it wants to expand to allow price to go up a lot higher. Again, increased volume, increased whale. This is a very good setup. Looking at the other stuff that I generally look at in terms of the GAN, in terms of the Fibonacci levels, sorry about this busy chart. I just want to show you, we've been battling this zone of resistance here, where you wonder why price hasn't really gotten above 2.5 for a very long time, because we've really been battling over a very long time. We broke above the zone. Let's hope that this is not just a big giant wick. So far it doesn't look like it, but if it's not a big giant wick, you're really talking about a nice breakout of this very, very confluent resistant zone around the 0.238 and 6 Fibonacci level, retracement level here, along this horizontal line over here around 2.25, around this arc over here, which has been serving as very, very nice support over here, and somewhat as a resistance over here. We're able to break about the zone, which tells me that most likely price will probably end up going up to the next Fibonacci level. After that, maybe the monthly cloud, right? Maybe monthly cloud somewhere up here, right? Around maybe the 0.5 Fibonacci level, around 4.86 or 3.8. You're going to have a little bit more resistance up here around 3.1 or so. But really, you're talking about around $4, $5, maybe even higher if it ends up breaking through all the bottom of this newly formed Ichimoku cloud. It ends up going a lot higher to these arcs up here. It could potentially get up to around like $7.50, and then you might see some very, very strong resistance up here, because you also have some history over here too in terms of resistance, right? Once you're able to break back above that, if we're able to do that throughout the cycle, break above this arc that had been rejected here from the last cycle, then you're really talking about some double-digit prices up here, which can go as crazy as like 23.85 or something like that. That could potentially be the ultimate end of the bull cycle. Does it have to do that? No, because you're having a lot of resistance before you get there, right? But you also have a lot of whalish momentum there building up, so who knows, right? I'm just speculating. But so far it looks like it wants to run, is kind of what I'm seeing. Now, the other one that I want to talk about, CipherMining CIFR monthly chart is looking also very, very nice. If you just put the Ichimoku cloud, you can see that you had a bullish cross, just like the other miners that I've talked about so far, around January of 2024, and it's been reclaiming the Tenkan line or the conversion line up here. Looks like it wants to go higher. The only hard problem is, so increased whales, not any like bearish divergence here to really be worried about. It looks like it wants to break up higher. Well, what's stopping it? You have this big giant resistance zone here around 5.5 that's been support over here, and that's been resistance up here for about a whole year. But we've been testing this as resistance for times on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We just keep on knocking the door. I think eventually the door is going to break, and eventually I think you can go up to like maybe like $8 or $10 here in a hurry. Whenever it does that, it just hasn't been doing that quite just yet, but looks like it's getting ready to in terms of frequency, trying to break the resistance. Increasing number of whales. RSI is trending up, no bearish divergence. Very nice look, right? Let's look at the Bollinger Band. What is the Bollinger Band doing in terms of the monthly? Drum roll is thinking. It's looking like it is wanting to go up. So far, because price kind of goes sideways for about a whole year, you do have a little bit of an initial contraction over here after the initial expansion. But I think whenever price is able to break above the 5.5 range, you're really going to drag the Bollinger Band up a lot higher, and you can even drag the Bollinger Band down here a lot lower. I think it's getting set up to do that. Whales are certainly in support of it. If you look at the 2-week chart over here, you can also see that the whales are very, very heavily in, especially for these week and two. Looks like they're really strongly coming in, right? So a lot of very nice confluent things to feel pretty bullish about when you're looking at Cypher. And whenever you have increased buying volume, you have declining sell volume, increased buying volume, declining sell volume. This is all like a reaccumulation range before a pretty significant breakout is kind of what I'm seeing. Again, on a 2-week time frame, not much bearish divergence left that I'm really that worried about. Okay, let's look at a weekly time frame. I look at your weekly time frame and just put up the Ichimoku cloud. It tells you a very clear tail. It's just been breaking above the cloud and back testing it for a month or two or so. Found support. Looks like it wants to go up higher and try to break out against these $5.5 range, right? This week, all whales, very little retail. You're not really having a whole heck of a lot of bearish divergence here. It's not overbought. It's not oversold. It's just somewhere in the middle, right? Looks like it wants to go higher based on this bam, 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 bam look to it. Now, Bollinger Band, we are hitting a little bit of resistance, right? Remember I was talking about 5.5. You're hitting the upper Bollinger Band over here again. and that could potentially serve as a little bit of resistance. Now, if it's able to break and if it's able to keep pushing the Bollinger Band up and down, then you're really talking about a pretty parabolic bull trend that can potentially hit like $8 and $10 in a hurry if it breaks above that. If you look at the GAN here that I have, the GAN here tells you that we're at $5.5 resistance, right? Like you can see those. I don't have to really show anything special here. You're at resistance zone right here at the horizontal, at the arc line over here, as well as this whole giant horizontal range over here has been getting rejected. You're really not going to do a whole lot until you break above this range, and it's trying to do that. It's just a little bit delayed. It looks like it wants to catch up today, but it's just a little bit delayed. So we'll see what it does next. So far, it's just been kind of pretty parabolic up until this area over here hitting resistance. So we'll see how it reacts at resistance. I'd like to see it break through. If it doesn't break through, then you're talking about going back to backtest this angle over here. Maybe you're trying to bring up enough energy, trying to push it above, right? But overall, this is like a very nice ascending triangle look to it. I think there's increasing in demand and is eating up a lot of supply over here. I think it's going to break. It's just a matter of time. Now, in terms of targets, I mentioned about $8. I mentioned about $10, right? What about the top of the arc over here? Or the bottom of the arc and the top of the arc over here, right? And it depends on where it gets to up here over time, right? If it gets up to here around maybe 13, 14, if it gets to here, maybe like 16, 17, and then the horizontal line up here is going to be 17 and 8, 17.8, right? Once it's able to break above this, you have resistance at $8, $10, and you're talking about the teens up here, right? Once you're able to break above the teens, then you're really talking about some crazy targets like up in like the 40s. But you still have resistance, and you're still working things out right now. So that's Cipher. Pretty clear actually in terms of what it's trying to do. I like the whales in terms of what they're doing. A couple other ones just real quick. I want to talk about IREN. I do have a position in this. I've just been diamond handing it, but I can totally see the argument of selling out and rotating to other miners because it's just way too far extended right now. On the monthly, on the Ichimoku, you had a bullish cross this month, and increasing volume of buying, increasing whales. Monthly is not overbought. All of this look very nice, right? What about the Bollinger Band? This is just like CleanSpark. I'm going to go for 6 miners today, right? There are only really 3 of these miners are having a full Bollinger Band expansion here on the monthly. The first one's going to be CleanSpark. It did that a few months back when it went really parabolically. The second one is IREN. The third one's WULF. Right? IREN, you really have these 2 candles really cause significant expansion of the Bollinger Band up and down. And this is also causing a lot of whalish energy to come in, right? Right now, price is a little bit too far above the upper Bollinger Band. Upper Bollinger Band is $10, and right now, price is around like 13.7. So it's a little bit too far, too fast. Could it cool down over the next month or two while it rotates out of it to other miners? Possible. Can it keep pushing another big candle up and just pull the Bollinger Band up further? That's also possible, but I never really necessarily counted, which is why I'm not selling, I'm not buying, I'm just holding. Okay. The 2-week chart here tells you, again, very significant increase in whale, significant increase in volume. Something big is happening to this stock, right? The Ichimoku and Sobichi is not going to tell you too much. If you look at the weekly chart over here, it's telling you that you also have a very significant Bollinger Band expansion. Price just kind of riding up on the upper Bollinger Band to go a lot higher over time, increasing volume on this uptrend and increasing whales on this uptrend. You are hitting some overbought conditions. Price did end up closing above the upper Bollinger Band here on the weekly for 2 weeks in a row. So again, I won't chase this. I'm just going to hold. It could potentially go back down or go sideways while it rotates to others. So it's always hard to say. It did reclaim the bull market support band a few weeks ago, and since that, it just didn't look back. So very impulsive, maybe a little overbought, here on the Bollinger Band. Be a little bit cautious, if you will. If you look at the Gann square and you look at the Fibonacci levels, it hit my first target up here and it just went right past it. It's hitting my second target over here earlier than I thought. hit around 0.5 Fibonacci level around 14.64, got rejected. So far also got rejected back at the arc down here, right? It might take some additional time to really try and break about this range up here. And if it does end up breaking above, then I really think it might end up hitting the 0.786 here in a hurry around $22. Once IREN hits $22.4, then you're really talking about some of the higher arcs up here around like the 30s and 40s. And that would be a pretty significant gain considering the stock just a few weeks ago was at like $5. It looks like it wants to take off, but things may be a little bit overextended. You're hitting a lot of very important resistance, and so far we're getting rejected. Could it end up rotating out and just kind of hit underneath the arc over here and getting support down here to 0.382, form a little bit of a bull flag here before going up higher over time? That's certainly a possibility. I personally would probably not chase this move. And that's my thought on that. But whales are in. That's promising. Irrationality can keep going for a long time. They don't have to do what I think it's going to do. So just consider it that, you know, it might keep going up higher. I don't know. That's why I'm not selling. But I can potentially see we're hitting some pretty important resistance up here. And I'm just being a little bit cautious. So that's IREN WULF. Finally, the last one I want to talk about here on this video. WULF is also very, very bullish. I'm going to turn the Fibonacci levels off here. If you just look at Ichimoku, you finally have getting close to a bullish cross here. Not quite. I think next month you're going to be having a very nice bullish cross, right? You already see that it already is starting to flip the blue line from resistance over here to support, and right now it is falling through. Big giant whale accumulation increasing with the MCDX plus over here, very, very red, right? Not much retail here left in terms of proportionality. Not much bearish divergence here to get worried about. And if you also look at a Bollinger Band, this is also another worry that I have with WULF. Again, Bollinger Band expansion, right? There are only 3 stocks that I've talked about so far that have Bollinger Band expansion, and this is one of them. The other one's IREN, and the third one's CleanSpark. Bollinger Band expansion way outside the upper Bollinger Band. Right now, upper Bollinger Band is around 3.4. You're talking about 4.06 is current price, 4.08 is the current price right now. A little bit overextended, but I'm not too worried because it's just overextended. It's just, you know, one time so far, right? But Bollinger Band is expanding. Very, very nice look to it. Look at the 2-week. You can see that on the whale chart, you have clearly like a very, very nice increase in trend in whales. You have very nice Bollinger Band expansion over here too. Not much bearish divergence here that I'm worried about on RSI on a weekly. You can see again very nice Bollinger Band expansion. It's been squeezing for a very long time. It's been reclaiming the bull market support band here for a very long time. It was able to reclaim it and then bounce from it very, very impulsively. Same thing too with the Ichimoku cloud. It really just found support of the cloud and it just bounced and it just didn't look back, right? So a very, very bullish look to it. If you look at the GAN and you look at the Fibonacci levels, what it's doing right now to me is pretty apparent. You're able to finally break about this horizontal resistance range up here around, you know, around $3 or so. You're able to break above that convincingly. So where it's going to go next? Well, it's probably going to go to the next Fibonacci level around $4.8, or even up to like 5.3 at the arc up here, or around 6.3 at the arc up here, right? So you're really talking about potentially go up another 30 to 50% before really seeing any significant resistance. So yeah, I mean, it looks great. You know, the only problem that I have right now is really the fact that it's just way outside the weekly Bollinger Band. It can hit some of the targets up here, and it's probably going to end up getting punished there for a while before further bullish continuation. So this is going to be a pretty confluent resistance zone, anywhere around $5 all the way up to maybe $6, a pretty confluent resistance zone up here. After that, $7 or $8. After that, you're really talking about the low teens up here, and it could potentially end the cycle up here around $20 is what I'm seeing for WULF, which is not entirely, you know, crazy considering price was just like $2 just a few weeks ago. Anyway, those are the miners that I have talked about. I do want to talk about one thing here. If I just pull up the Fintel data, you can see like CleanSpark, there's a significant increase in institutional accumulation. Right now, I think it's getting close to like about 50% institutions. You're looking about MARA. MARA has also got increase in institution, but it didn't really have the huge jump for the month of June, unlike CleanSpark, right? But it's still increasing. So I'm not really too worried about MARA either. The other ones to look at is Bitfarm. Now, Bitfarm, you have increase in institution. A big part is actually Riot is buying Bitfarm, but I don't really care what institution is buying as long as it brings in bullish momentum. I honestly don't really care where the source of money is coming from. CIFR, very significant increase in whale accumulation in institutional purchasing, right? You're talking about some pretty, heavy hitting purchasing power here over the last month or so. And then finally, I want to show you WULF and IREN. They have increase in institutional accumulation. And then finally, with IREN, also the same thing, right? Very nice whalish accumulation over here. So far everything seems to be going the right direction in terms of what's going on behind the scene with the whales, and it's basically showing up here on these MCDX charts over here too. Everything is matching up. I think price for all these stocks are going to go up higher. Each one of these are going to have their own resistance levels to worry about. A lot of them are breaking out and they're hitting some resistance levels. A lot of them are still trying to break out and still haven't hit the higher resistance levels. So it depends. I think rotation is probably going to end up happening between these stocks, and a lot of the early riser, a lot of people end up chasing, may not end up being the most bullish ones over the next couple months or so. So we'll see what happens. I keep diversifying. I actually have a position in pretty much all 6 of these. We'll see. I'll keep monitoring them, and I'll let you know if I see anything new. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.